Hey everybody, welcome to Around the Twist, episode 245, take 2. We were interrupted by a Gabe not long into it. It's April 27th, 2016, and I'm going to skip kind of the normal format, so if you're new, this isn't the usual. I don't normally give a life update right at the beginning, but the last couple of weeks have been kind of crazy, so let's start with, it'll be 2 weeks ago, it'll be 3 weeks ago, this coming Friday, I posted something very vague on Instagram. I apologize, asking for good wishes, all that stuff, because my direct boss had asked me to interview for a higher position within the facility that I work at. Someone is playing the instrument of his people. I will be right back. Gabe. That is not time. Like that. You're okay. Okay, sorry about that. So, 3 weeks ago, this coming Friday, I interviewed for this position. Did great. Interviewed with 8 people around a conference table. It was a little like being in front of a firing squad. So, a week and a half later, the following Monday, after being told how awesome I did at the interview by various people, I got a call from the HR person saying that I did not get the position, despite, and I quote, blowing them away in the interview. And that was pretty much the only feedback she could give me. So that Monday, again, I posted something very vague on Instagram that I didn't get the position, and I was wallowing, honestly. I kind of expected to get it, just with my experience compared to the other candidate. But I was a lot more, and I kind of went into the whole thing thinking, well, if I don't get it, it's not a big deal. I still have my nursing job, no big deal. But I ended up being a lot more hurt and disappointed that I didn't get it. So that was Monday, and I was here at home. Tuesday, I was in at work. About 10 in the morning, start off my shift just fine. About 10 in the morning, my voice started going down like this, and a little bit deeper than it is right now. And by about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was completely... I'm so sorry. That was the other word I wanted to give you. I might be coughing a lot. But by about 2 in the afternoon, it was completely gone, and the little snippet that I recorded last Wednesday was about the extent of my voice for about the last week. I did go in to see my doctor that Thursday because I was supposed to work this last weekend, and how can I work and provide patient care and be a nurse and pass pills and do everything I'm supposed to if I can't talk? If I can just whisper and squeak at people. Go in, and he said basically, he didn't use the term viral laryngitis, but that's what I'm calling it. He basically said I had a massive virus that attacked my vocal cords, especially with how quick my voice went. Gave me some meds to deal with it. Don't worry, I know, it's a virus. There were no antibiotics involved. If he would have said antibiotics, it would have been gone. No, I don't think so. Sorry. So he actually gave me a steroid taper to help shrink the swelling in my vocal cords, and strict orders of no talking for the next 4 to 7 days. It's the following Wednesday. Obviously, I'm talking. I just finally started getting my voice back on Monday. So that was Thursday. And my husband had great fun going, stop, no talking. no talking. Every time I'd start to try to mouth something at him, I wasn't even going to talk. But then Friday, I got a note from my doctor, took it into work, so I was off the whole weekend, since I obviously couldn't talk, therefore couldn't work. So Friday I stayed home. Our nanny still came over because it's kind of hard to parent and potty train 2.5-year-old toddlers when you can't explain to them why mommy doesn't have a voice, or tell them it's time to go potty, even they're not following hand gestures that well. So we took them to one of the playgrounds here in town. And for those of you not familiar with some of the newer play structures on playgrounds these days, they have things they didn't have when I was a child playing on playgrounds. They have these talking tubes, I guess. It's kind of the equivalent of 2 tin cans with a piece of string stretched between, except it's this hook-shaped tube that has like a funnel at the end. There's two ends to it, and one at this particular play structure, one's at a higher, like way up on a platform that's like 8 feet in the air at the top of a slide, and the other one's at ground level, so you can talk to your friend through these tubes. Well, Gabe was at the top of a slide that is right above the lower tube, the ground level tube. And I was on the opposite side of the slide from where this tube was. And he looked like he was going to turn and go down the ladder that was next to this talking tube thing that hooks over. So being the vigilant parent that I am, I ducked under the slide to stop him launching himself off this ladder. And as I came up, I came crunch smack into this talking tube, hence the bruise. You can probably see the lovely shading of yellow and green on either side. I heard a crunch. I had a very bloody nose. Honestly, I'm going to guess I probably broke my nose, but everything seems to be aligned. The swelling has gone down, thank God. And yeah, it still hurts. Excuse me. But, so all in all, it has not been a great 2 weeks for me. Yeah, it's been interesting. Let's just put it at that. And let's get to the actual point of this show. This is a knitting, spinning, well, not so much spinning, but knitting, crocheting, stitching, crafting show. So let me grab some more coffee. Again, I'm going to apologize for any coughing. As all the gunk has come off of my vocal cords, there's been a lot of coughing to like bang that stuff all loose, and it's disgusting. You guys don't want to know. It's just, ugh. I've been drinking a lot of hot liquids. This is coffee, not tea, because I've only had 1 cup today and desperately need it. Also, this is my show notes for the week. I didn't write anything. We're just going to wing it because I don't know how long my voice is going to last like this. Because obviously it's a lot lower than it normally is. And I can talk normal if I lower my voice. But then I sound like a news announcer, and I don't like that. And it also makes me cough more. So, first things first. Everything I have on my needles. Everything got worked on this week, actually. Since I had so much downtime and 3 days off of work. So first is the Beck sweater. This is by Danny Sunshine. It is a pattern, a pay-for pattern available on Ravelry. I'm knitting this out of Rowan Felted Tweed. This is the DK in the color 173. Rowan Felted Tweed is a 50% merino, 25% alpaca, 25% viscose blend. I'd almost call this more like a duck egg blue, if you want a color. And I haven't done a whole lot. I did manage to finish the first little so this is the neck, obviously. I did manage to finish the first little texture bit and the first little cable detail. Now, in the actual pattern, they have you on that center garter bit, they do have you use a contrast color. I decided not to do that, mainly because I don't have a contrast color in my stash, and I am working this whole sweater from stash yarn. And I have plenty of yarn to finish the entire sweater using just one color, and I like it just with a texture, and it was only 2 rows of a contrast color, and there's several different texture things as you go down the yoke of the sweater, and I was like, you know, I like it all one color, so we're doing it all one color. Remains to be seen how that's going to go. I'm knitting on a US 6, a 4.0 millimeter needle. Liking it so far. It's just something that I can't, it's harder to knit on when the kids are around right now because I'm at the point where I could pull this onto the loop, but it's not quite big enough to completely flatten out. Excuse me. So I got maybe like an inch and a half done on this. No real deadline for it, just before next winter. I'd like to have it done. So that's the first thing. The Very Merry Unbirthday Birthday Socks. These are riding around in my Tangerine Designs yarn cabinet TARDIS bag. Casey makes lovely bags. I haven't seen any of her stuff up lately though. So these are the zigzagular socks, and these are birthday socks for my best friend Sarah. Her birthday is the end of July, so I have high hopes of actually finishing them and getting them to her on time. I have, let's see, where was I? Oh, I had completely finished the leg last time, so I haven't done a whole lot on these. I have done the heel flap, I have done the heel turn, and I have picked up and started working my way out the gusset, but I'm only like 2 rows in, 2 or 3 rows in, so nothing major. The zigzagular socks are by Susie White, Prairie Girl Designs, and they are a free pattern on Ravelry. I'm knitting this up in, I'm so sorry. Socks that rock lightweight. The colorway is Mad as a March Hare, which was a club colorway a couple years ago. So this, again, was pulled from Stash. I did manage to find a lovely Susan Bates aluminum cable needle, so that's been riding back and forth between this project and the Beck sweater as I needed to cross the cables there. Obviously I need it a little more often for the sock because I'm still kind of upset about those slightly larger loops at the top. Not enough to rip the sock out because dang it, I've got the whole leg done, but it's a design feature, right? So I'm knitting them on a US 1.5, a 2.5 millimeter needle. I'm so sorry. I know you all are going to say I should have not recorded this week and taken care of myself, but gosh darn it, recording every week was one of my New Year's resolutions, and I know I don't have to. No one has to keep a New Year's resolution, but it's the one resolution that I made this year that I've actually kept. So, I'm gonna anyway, and I apologize to everyone with headphones on. Okay, so I'm working, just starting the gusset on that first sock, which is the left sock of the zigzagulars. And then the thing that's probably gotten the most work done on it, the manly socks, which are my husband's next pair. Whenever they get finished, they might be an anniversary present, birthday present, Christmas present, so since those all kind of fall together. This is just my 72 stitch plain vanilla sock. I'm knitting it up in Osterman Step. Again, this is deep stash. This is back from, oh my gosh, I don't even know. I think I got this at Personal Threads. Years ago. Years. I just went digging for a guy color and this caught my eye in the sock cabinet. So, Osterman Step, which I'm not even sure they sell it anymore. I was going to look that up for you guys. It's a German yarn. It contains jojoba oil and aloe vera that's supposed to last for like 10 or 15 washes. It makes for an interesting hand when you're knitting. It feels almost, I guess, silkier in the ball, but then when I knit it up, it feels like any Opal or Regia or any of the other good workhorse German yarns. I have a pair that I knit for myself out of some years ago that I ended up not liking the colors on, but I wear them anyway, and I can't get those things to dye. They won't dye. Typical of the German yarns. They are workhorse yarns. So the color is black / dark teal / blue. I think it's color number 44. And this is what the sock looks like so far. So we've got the black, we've got the dark blue, the teal, and then there's a gray. Through the whole thing there are these little speckly bits that run through it. I have pulled out a pair of his other socks and counted how many rows were in the leg, because he likes shorter cuffs. So I have put in for my afterthought heel right there. I'm knitting these up on a US 1, a 2.25 millimeter needle, and then I'll put in a crystal heel, which is a version of the afterthought heel. I believe if you search for it on Ravelry, it's there. It's part of a pattern that was offered for free on Knitty years ago, and I actually took a class from the lady out at the Second Sock Summit on crystal heels. And I like how they fit me better than a traditional afterthought heel. There's extra rows, and how you space out your decreases is different. Get a drink here. So right now I'm a few rows into the foot, like 4 or 5 rows into the foot. And this has just been my mindless knitting in the evening, or when the kids are out, anytime I've got a little bit of spare time. And those are riding around in my rock, paper, scissors lizard Spock bag from Jessalou Designs, or Stitched by Jessalou, excuse me. And then I have my crocheting, my long-term future Christmas planning, the snowflakes. So I've found a place, a bag, kind of a bag, to keep my snowflakes in. This was gifted to me by Amy Froggy Monkey, who used to have, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on what her video cast used to be. She and her husband Darren had a wonderful video cast, so I'm drawing a blank. But I had stitched her, or knit her up, the falling leaves socks out of the Gales Art sock blank. And so as a thank you, she made me a couple of project bags, and this was one of them. It has an exploding TARDIS print, and then this lovely inside embroidered fabric. And it's kind of the perfect size to keep my little ball of crochet cotton. And I'm gonna, most of my other baggies full of snowflakes are down in the basement, but I'm also keeping one of my knit kits in here, so I have a pair of scissors to snip ends since these go so fast. So in the ensuing 2 weeks, I have gotten, I believe, 4 snowflakes done. Pathetic. But I'm ahead of schedule, so I'm counting it as a win. My plan had been to do 1 set of snowflakes every month out of this book, lovely book that's put out by Leisure Arts. It's still available on Amazon for sure. So I'm doing 3 snowflakes of each pattern. So 1 pattern repeated 3 times. So those of you who don't know, I want to have a set of snowflakes for my Christmas tree, but then thinking ahead to the future when Tara and Gabe leave the nest or go out on their own, I don't want them fighting over who gets what snowflakes, and no, that was my favorite, no, it was mine, and I never had to deal with it as an only child, but I want to try to head it off at the pass. So I'm basically making a set for us to use, and then keeping a set for Tara and a set for Gabe. And I'm going through, I'm working my way through, and this, obviously 99 snowflakes is a very long-term project. And I'm still not sure if I'm going to do the 3D ones at the very end, but this is a collaborative edition, so there's designs are by multiple people. All the ones I've done so far are by a woman named Helen Milinkovich Milton. So I finished the 3rd one of snowflake number 7, which is going to look like this. Actually, it's pretty close. This is one of the ones that actually looks pretty close to the finished. And then I started and finished snowflake number 8, which is going to look like this one down here, which kind of looks like the dog's breakfast. So those are done, and I'll be moving on. I just haven't had much motivation to work on those lately, and I don't know why, probably because I'm like, I'm ahead. But I'm working on it in Knit Crocheting, the Ecru colorway. It's a mercerized cotton crochet thread, and I'm using a US 7 steel crochet hook, which is a 1.65 millimeter needle, or steel hook, excuse me. It actually calls for a 6, which is a 1.8, so these are coming out I think, it's hard to tell when they're not blocked, coming out slightly smaller than what I'd originally planned or what the pattern calls for. But you know, I'm fine with that because our tree is not that big, and 99 snowflakes is kind of a lot, but that's okay. So that's it for what's on my needles, on my hooks. Pokey things. I have been doing some stitching. I did, it's out of the hoop, it's not completely done, but I did finish the third clue, the third pattern clue, the third bit for A Very Merry Christmas Town by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and that was this whole bit over here. I got everything done, including the little individual stitches that I had missed. That pesky little green stitch right there. I kept missing it and forgetting it. But so this whole bit is finished. There is a border that goes along the bottom, and that's the next bit. That was clue 4. It was meant to be a 4-week mystery stitch along. I never keep up with them. So I work on them after the fact and hope to finish them by the next season. So yeah, I'm actually kind of proud of this. I actually could, how did I do that? I could just mat it down and frame it like that. But it's kind of one of those, I'm in so deep with this already, it's like, I don't want to do anything halfway, let's do the whole thing. So I'll do the whole bottom section. This hasn't gotten a whole lot of work on it, simply because it's my downstairs project when hubby's playing video games, and he hasn't been playing a whole lot of video games because he's been, his mom brought out his grandpa's old gun cabinet. After his grandma passed away recently, the family was cleaning out the house and asked what he would like. He said, if no one else wants, I want my grandpa's gun cabinet. So he's been working on refinishing that and restaining it, and it's really, really beautiful now that it's been redone. He put a new back on it and everything. So he hasn't really been downstairs playing the video games that much, so I haven't been working on A Very Merry Christmas Town that much at all. I have, however, been working on my other project, which is the Once Upon a Time sampler from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and I'm actually going to take this one side off of the Q-snap so you can see. I managed to finish one square that was started the last time I talked to you, and I'm almost done with another square. So once again, this is Once Upon a Time from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. It was their mystery knit along from, I think, stitch along from 2014. And again, obviously didn't keep up with it. Hello, I had newborns at that point, and we were moving. So I finished all of Thumbelina, which was July, and I've been working on this next square, which wasn't a recognizable fairy tale to me. And for some reason, every month, the way that the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery does their mystery stitch-alongs, every month or every week, however often the pattern releases, they send you an email, and it's usually, like this one, it would say, the file would say Once Upon a Time Jan for January, Once Upon a Time Jan-Feb for January through February. On up. For some reason, I didn't have a January through August one, so I actually had to download the through September pattern, which will be the next square. So I didn't, and normally at the beginning of each one they would kind of describe or in the emails, they would describe who had picked that month's fairy tale among the two of them, or if it was someone's favorite, or what they liked best about it. So this, I actually had to look it up. It's a Grimm Brothers fairy tale called The Bremen Town Musicians, or The Town Musicians of Bremen. I found both titles. And it's basically these 4 animals, which is a donkey, a puppy, a kitty, and a rooster, or a hen, a chicken of some kind, are turned out of their farm or are going to be slaughtered or something, depending on how dark you want to go with the story. So they say, living life is better than dying. Let's go be the town musicians of Bremen. Never mind that none of them play an instrument. So they head off down the road and come upon some robbers in a cottage counting their ill-gotten gains. And the robbers leave and the animals take over the cottage. And at some point during the night, the robbers come back, and in the dark, one of them sees the eyes of the cat glowing at him and freaks out, and that knocks into the dog, who bites him, which then he yells, so that wakes up the donkey, who kicks him, and then the rooster crows, and some combination of that leads them to believe there's some kind of monster or the devil himself living in this cottage. So the animals pretty much become their little self-sufficient, stay at the cottage. They never make it to the town of Bremen, but they live out their lives happily ever after and get rid of the robbers. So that's the that's the premise behind the August square. I don't have much left. A little bit of the cat, a little bit of the chicken, and then the roofs on two of the houses, there and there in Bremen. I think I have one more musical note here and then the word August. And that'll be it. And then I can move on to September, which I believe is Rapunzel, if I remember right. Which I'll have to, if I took this other side off, I don't have the border, this lovely border. I don't have it done the whole way down here, so I'll finish that off first, because the border for me is always a good reference point, whether it's the thin little grid in between each square or the more ornate border around the edges. And to me, when the square is done, I want it to be done. And I've been thinking ahead to when I finish. There is a box at the bottom of the sampler, kind of similar to this one at the top where it says Once Upon a Time. Now in the original it said that box contained the year 2014. Well, I've been stitching on this through 2015 into 2016. Actually, I think I did some in 2014 too. So I think rather than put the year, because it's been a span of years that I've worked on it, I'm going to... Daisy is staring at me, laying on her back across the room. It's very weird. I'm so sorry. I've seen a couple people in that box put the end. So start off with Once Upon a Time. Fairy tales always end with the end, right? So I think I'm going to do that. And then when this is done, I happened to catch a sale for Wee Little Stitches on Etsy. I follow her on Instagram, and they got up to 3,000 followers on Instagram. So she offered, I think it was a 25 or a 30% off discount. I think it was 25% off, excuse me, which was over this last Sunday. I'm sorry I didn't get to you guys to tell you before that. But there is an alphabet sampler of superheroes. So I got that to do a cross stitch for Gabe. So Tara will have fairy tales and princesses, and Gabe will have DC and Marvel superheroes with the alphabet for his room. It's keeping me from doing the other epic project that I was considering, which would be epic. It's more like a tapestry than anything. It's this huge solid stitching, almost it's almost a stained glass looking version of Legend of Zelda. And it's something I'd do like as a 10th anniversary gift for hubby, but if I wanted it to be for our 10th anniversary, I'd have to start now. That would give me 6 years to finish this massive thing, and I'm still kind of tempted to do it. I have the pattern. I don't even remember where I found it. I found it a couple years ago and saved it to my hard drive on my computer, and I've still got it, but Oh my gosh, it's like 40 pages. It's massive. I don't even know how big of a thing of Aida I would need for that. It just seems like it would be huge. So, future projects, upcoming. Various and sundry. We've got one upcoming event that is going to be the Estes Park Wool Market, June 9th through 12th up at Estes Park, Colorado. I'm planning for sure on being there on Saturday, and I'm going to drag the whole family with me. Please come up and say hi. We'll be dragging the twins around, probably in the stroller, but we'll see how they do. And that's really it. I don't really have anything else. Let's do one thing from the Any Questions thread. So CC Earl posted a couple months ago and said, "Hi, do you still use your signature needles? Why or why not?" Yes, I do. They are used for a variety of projects, mainly sweaters because that's the size that I have, or shawls. I did it for my progression shawl, progressive progression. I like the pointiness of the needle still, but I also realize since I have the fixed circulars, when they die, and Signature no longer makes them. They offer the interchangeables, which I really don't want interchangeables. I don't. So I'm kind of babying them along and hoping no more of them die. How often do you wear your hand knit sweaters? It depends. I see like my featherweight sweater, the one out of the purple Volmisa. It's more like a dress-up layering piece. So I use that more for like date night, or if I'm going somewhere more like business casual and a t-shirt's not appropriate. My calligraphy cardigan that I did out of Socks That Rock Heavyweight in the green that sings. I love that sweater. That is like my go-to schlubbing around the house sweater. I honestly think I'm probably going to make it again, but use a different worsted weight yarn, because the Socks That Rock Heavyweight, while it's beautiful, it is really, really heavy, and it's a great sweater to wrap up in, but to wear, to go out, it just drags down, and it is a long sweater to start with, so it's very, very heavy. I think even if I use like Dream in Color or heck, even Cascade 220, it would still knit up and be beautiful, but I think I'd get more use out of the pattern. But that is another one of my favorites. I like my Hero, but I almost feel like we moved to a temperate enough climate that I don't wear it as much as I should. I did wear it a few weeks back on the show when it was cold out. And least favorite, probably the ones I've given away. The Kyoto sweater. It was one of those, it looked better in my head than it did in real life. So I ended up gifting it to a friend who was about a foot shorter than I am, and it looked fabulous on her. And fit her so much better. And finally, what does Alcario mean? Okay, now we're delving into my geeky, nerdy past. Hi, Daisy. You gonna come up? So when I was in college, hi, how are you? When I was in college, Lord of the Rings was just coming out, and a couple of my friends, my friend Sarah, another friend and roommate Angela, we were huge nerds, and Lord of the Rings was one of our nerdy things, and Angela and I ended up with English Elvish dictionaries, and we both kind of looked up the bits of our names. And oh poop, I forget. I think Alcarinque was the name of a star, but I can't remember what it means. So I took the Alcari, which had the Alcarin, which had the Karen in the middle of it, spelled the way I spelled, and the IEL that you get, Galadriel, Undolmiel, which are the feminine endings to a lot of Elvish names, and I just put Alcariel, together. So I think it's something to do with light, and I can't remember what it is. Anyway, it's an elvish thing because I was a Lord of the Rings nerd, okay? That's all it is. So, Christina, I hope that answered your questions. I have prattled on way too long. Oh, one more thing. So this, my progressive shawlette, my shawl design that I worked on for the longest time, it is written up. It is off to a test knitter friend, and she's going to be my tech editor person, and hopefully, soon-ish, I will be able to release the pattern for you. So there's my teaser, and we'll leave it at that. Hopefully by next week I'll have a voice, and until then, happy knitting. Bye, guys.